So here's my walk through the garden on this Sunday morning in June. I may post this to YouTube, I may not, we'll see. This is the cucumbers that are going crazy. These are pickling cucumbers. I've got slicers on the other side that haven't produced so much. Oh, I see some orangey sweet peppers getting right down here. I have a thing for pretty peppers. Always have too many of them. Here's another orange one, orange lunchbox. I just pulled some ripe ones off of there yesterday. We've only got green ones right now. There's also some Kentucky Wonder pole beans growing up there in all those cucumbers. Those were my daddy's favorite Kentucky Wonders. Appropriate since it's Father's Day, I suppose. See a tomato over there I'll get in a minute. Here's some paste tomatoes that I just put in a few weeks ago. This will be like my second tomato crop. I had cabbage here. When the cabbage got ready and we pulled it out, I put paste tomatoes in. This is the really shady side of the garden because we've got trees over here behind me. I'll pan around so you can see. A lot of trees right there, and that's east. So it gets lots of shade in the morning. Doesn't get a lot of sun until later in the day. These tomatoes are Salvatierra Select and Romas. So hopefully I'll be able to put up lots of tomato sauce and spaghetti sauce. Okay. Right here at the end we've got some okra that I grow for Charlie. There's some balsam camellia plants in that planter. These okra plants aren't putting out much yet because they're in the shade. And here's the tunnel, first tunnel. I'm making a video so I'll be able to go back and keep up with stuff. And there's Larry. Happy Father's Day, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay. Here's Amish paste tomatoes, which I've grown before and they've never done much. But this year they're showing out. They're making big tomatoes and staying pretty healthy.
Pick this one back.
Got a few ripe ones down there. Sure, pick that one. I usually like to leave them on the vine. Well, maybe don't if it's that stubborn.
Yeah, it's being stubborn.
But I also hate for the insects to eat them. So when they're down low like this especially, I tend to go ahead and get them. Here, I've got the
Yips.
snippers. Let's go ahead and get that one too.
Had to make sure my finger was out of the way.
Okay. Yeah. The Kentucky Wonders are finally starting to put out.
These are.
They're kind of big beans. The top is full up there in that tangle.
Yep.
Sometimes we find them from the outside, and sometimes we just can't reach them, even with a stool. But we've gotten plenty of beans off of here. We've already canned, what do we do, 5 quarts, and probably got 2 or 3 gallons of beans in the refrigerator waiting to be canned. I like to do a canner full, so I'm waiting until I get enough to do that. Here's some of my yellow squash. The vine borers have had a really good time out here. I have gotten some squash, but most of these plants are not in. Actually, I really got almost no squash last year, so we've already done better than last year. Year before was better.
Year before it was.
These are Marion tomatoes right here that were my mama's favorites. Got a few starting to get ripe finally. Another squash plant. I just got this one up off the ground and trying to train it to the string yesterday. I see it's turned itself around a little bit. It got too long before I started. Growing them vertically does seem to help some with the vine borers. At least it gets them up where I can see if a leaf has gotten one in it. Hopefully before it gets to the plant. See, I've got a bunch of little baby somethings there. Squash bugs, it looks like. I have no qualms about squishing bugs if they're gonna eat my squash. We got a split going on there. Sorry, little bee. Looks like I might have a vine borer in there, or maybe just the top broke because of the wind yesterday during the little thunderstorm. A little squash there. I'll leave it a little longer. That plant looks like it's hanging in there, so maybe that squash will actually get bigger. Larry's a little taller than me, so he gets to usually pick the top of the tunnel. I see some I can reach, though. I forget what kind of tomatoes these are. Do I have a tag somewhere? I think these are beefsteaks. Those are Creole tomatoes right down there by the basket. They didn't do so well. I got them from Sutherland's, though, and often when you get plants at those early bird sales they're stunted. Sometimes they'll recover and do all right. Sometimes they don't. Pretty tomatoes. That's what we got so far.
And we ain't even halfway done for the first tunnel.
I know.
Beat that.
I missed one. Sometimes we find ones we've missed a few times. You can see I've been pruning squash. I should pick these up. But they also make pretty good mulch in the walkway. Got a couple of cucumbers there that might be pickle size. Okay, I paused to pull cucumbers. Because I can't do it with one hand. There's 4 in there. These are the pickling cucumbers. We've done... Yep. We've done 9 pints of dill pickle relish already. And 2 quarts of whole dills. Oh, I can't reach that one. Okay, some more squash plants. Trying to hold on. I do my tomato plants similar to the way I do the squash, except I use little clips that clip around the string and the stem of the plant. I'm sure you can't tell from the perspective in this video, but this squash plant right here is almost as tall as me. It comes up to about my nose. And so far it's holding on. Aren't squash blooms pretty? I see why the Native Americans made jewelry out of them. Plus it was a major food source for them, I'm sure. So far those squash look pretty good. Got a little powdery mildew going on there, but that's just how it is in the humid south. Larry's still picking beans down there. We've got some onions right here. We planted sets. I think in the future I'm going to try doing it from seed. We were a little late and use sets. This bunch is holding up okay. We had some we've already pulled, even though they were small, because the wind bent them over and the stems never recovered. Oh, I see some beans up there. Yesterday there were hummingbirds all over this. Okay, I'm going to stop for a minute and pick because I can't pick with one hand.
I was looking up.
Okay, there's our basket from the first tunnel so far. We haven't gone down the other side on the outside. Larry's still picking beans. And there's this thing about green beans. You pick them in the morning. You think you got them all. Go back in the evening. And you get just as many that you missed that morning. Or you think you got them all from the inside. And you walk down the outside and there's a whole bunch more. I still don't see any slicer cucumbers in there. There's a few little ones trying to make. They get a lot of shade right here because there's also a crepe myrtle tree right here. And then those trees in the afternoon put shade on this. But cucumbers don't mind some shade, so they usually do fine. Walk in my shot, Larry.
Sorry, Dad.
I'm picking. Here's some beefsteak tomatoes. We got a table full of tomatoes already. We picked yesterday, so there's a lot of ripe ones inside. Also got some that were still green that were really heavy on the bottom of the plant and breaking their little stem, and they're in there too, waiting to get ripe. Oh, we missed that one a minute, didn't we? Big bean. Missed that one a couple of times.
Yep, and I see one up there. It ain't as big, but I want to get it.
We really miss them up there on that tangle and top, on the top where you can't really see what's going on. But when we pull them down in the fall, they ought to be dried and ready to use for seed. And there's a tomato I'm going to get. These are Marion's over here too, Mama's favorite. The wind blew them over a week or so ago and the hornworms got on them, but they're still hanging in there. I hear you, I'm coming.
Stay right here so I can get in there and get those.
Okay. Got to mark his spot so we can find them on the inside.
But do you see them?
No, because the sun's in my eyes. I never saw them to begin with.
They're up here somewhere.
Let's see, where are the beans?
Could it be those two I was looking at? 'Cause they don't look, well, now.
Go ahead and get them or they'll be gigantic when we find them again. Was I not standing in the right place?
You see those two right there? You see them? One's going this way and one's going that way.
Oh, I think I see one of them. Let me stand on the blocks.
One I got and one of them. Alright, where am I at then?
Right there.
Get it?
There's still another one there, right behind your hand, right there. And there's another one.
Where?
Right there.
Right here?
Yep. They say the more you pick them, the more they make, so we pick them
Pretty hard.
a couple of times a day usually, because we like green beans. Good place to hide in that tunnel. You can hardly see somebody once they're in there. Okay, back to the crazy tomato
That's
plants.
what we missed from the inside.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we've seen from the outside.
Okay. I swear we just cut the grass a few days ago. As humid as it's been, though, the grass, it's probably drinking water from the air. Okay, here we've got some King of the Garden lima beans just getting started. They were planted later than most of the rest of this. I haven't seen any little bean pods on these yet, but we do have some blooms. So it won't be long. Also saw hummingbirds in here yesterday, and the bees are usually really busy in here. That Amish paste tomato plant has gone through the top of the trellis. That's a good 8 feet up there, I would say. That one too. Larry's still hunting beans. Oh, I see some up here we'll have to get.
Yeah, but I'm finding done.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. Okay. Nothing in that planter yet. There were some onions, but we pulled them because they got bent over. Oh, here's some giant Marconi peppers. If you've never heard of them, these are a sweet pepper. I know lots of people can't eat bell peppers, which is why we started trying to grow these, because Larry can't eat them. He hasn't had any problems with these or the other kinds of sweet peppers, so I suspect it's just bell peppers for some reason. But these get really big, and we like to cut the end off of them, stuff them with cream cheese and cheddar cheese, and wrap them in bacon and put them on the grill. Of course, if you know Larry, he'll put anything on the grill, but these look really good when you do them that way. Looks like we need to pick a few of these, maybe.
I know.
That one, I would say, could go a little longer. That one's still kind of light green, too. And that one. But I think I'm going to get this curly one here that I was looking at to begin with. And this one back here, because it's close to the ground, which invites things to eat it. We usually use a bigger basket than that, but it was still full from yesterday.
Jeez, babe.
What, love? Now that one's got a bad spot on it, so we'll go ahead and pull it. Now, I don't throw stuff like that away. I just cut the bad spot off and use the rest of it. Bugs and stuff gotta eat too. Yes, darling.
Look at those two.
Oh wow, pretty big.
Yeah, direct me to them.
Okay, they're right beside where the cattle panels meet. Big old marigold down here. I'm trying not to step on.
Yeah, baby.
right there.
Let me get up here.
It'll be to the left of the split for you. Your hands are practically on them, almost touching it. There you went. You just touched it.
Where's the other one?
Next to it.
Which way?
To your left.
There it is.
Yep. And I think I just saw another one over. Where'd it go? Yeah, kind of in there. It's not real big yet, so if we miss it, it's okay.
I don't see it.
That's fine. We'll be back out here this afternoon.
Yep.
If things go as they usually do. We didn't come out yesterday afternoon because it rained. There's Iggy sitting under our hose arrangement. I used a shepherd's hook to hold up our splitter for the hoses. And they're on a timer. They come on when the sun hits the timer over there under the edge of the porch. And run for, what have we got them on right now? An hour?
Yeah. No. Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. And we have, you can't see them real good, but we've got soaker hoses down in there, woven hoses that just drip water. It's working out pretty good. Oh yeah, big giant Marconi there.
Yeah.
Bad on the end, but that's okay. Yep. What we don't use fresh with those, I usually cut in pretty thin slices and put in the dehydrator. And they work pretty well. Just throwing them in soup or spaghetti sauce or anything that'll rehydrate them. And a handful of peppers there. We probably grow too many peppers, but we do like them and use them a lot. And I just really like colorful peppers. We do put them in lots of stuff. They're really good for you, so. And there's Princess Iggy there. And we live to serve, if you ask her.
Yeah.
Big marigold. Here's some habanero peppers that haven't been doing great, but they're trying. Habaneros. Haven't had a lot of luck with them so far. I don't know why. I haven't found the right spot or what.
Yesterday or last year, good. Fairly good.
Well, they did okay, but they were on that really shady side. Remember, we got it like 4 or 5 off of them, but
Well, I gave away about 15.
That's fair to middling at best.
To Marco, because he loves them.
There is a little butterbean pod. These were also planted kind of later. That one is a Alabama black-eyed butterbean. We've never had those before. I'm looking forward to trying them.
Wonder what's going on with this plant.
Maybe won't be too long.
Looks like it ain't getting no water.
We might have.
It may have got scorched.
Or we might have messed it up yesterday when we were pulling the tomato plants around. We might have disrupted the roots.
Could have.
Because these tomato plants were laying over yesterday from the wind.
Yep.
And the weight of the tomatoes on the bottom. Those are Cherokee purples.
And we got 3 yesterday.
You can see butternut squash on the other side of the trellis there. A big one over there. You can't really see it from here. Not on the camera. I can. Lots of blooms up there. So we'll have some butterbeans before long, I think. Looking forward to trying those. Here's the Cherokee purple tomatoes. These are Oregon spring tomatoes right here. They're just cheap seeds that I tend to, I always see them. There's a certain brand I can't remember, but I always see them. And I picked some up really cheap and decided to try them. And apparently they do not like it in South Mississippi because they have not exactly thrived. And we've got cherry tomatoes here. Also, always have way too many cherry tomatoes. But I'll split them, dehydrate them, and put them in an airtight container. And when I'm making spaghetti sauce or something that could use a little extra rich tomato flavor, I grind them up in the coffee grinder and add tomato powder, and it's really good. There's some comfrey that volunteered. Last year I had a bed here that had comfrey in it and some nasturtiums and a couple of little herbs, and when we decided this spring to make this tunnel longer, we took all that out, moved comfrey over there to the fruit trees and all over the place, but it just keeps on coming back. It never stops. But that's okay. It's a really good plant. It has deep roots, so it helps aerate the soil. It's a really good medicinal plant. The herbalists call it knit bone or bone knitter. I put it in all my salves and lip balms and things like that. And I do make a salve where it's the main ingredient. Can't put it on deep wounds because it can heal skin so fast that it will heal it over before the wound is finished draining. If there's any sort of debris in there, it'll heal over it. So you have to wait on a deep wound to put that on there. But it's something else, as Larry can tell you, because I used it on one of his surgery wounds one time, and it made a huge difference.
Yes. Especially after all the failures with the doctors.
Okay, we've got some burgundy bush beans right here. I think they've done their main crop for the year and are starting to play out, so we may be pulling them up soon. And these other plants would certainly appreciate the airflow. Beans are great though because they're nitrogen fixers. They pull nitrogen up to the soil. And they've helped these other plants some. There's some more cherry tomatoes. These are just like Gardener's Delight. Yeah, Gardener's Delight cherry tomatoes. I've never grown them before, but they're pretty good. Sweet. Prolific like most cherry tomatoes. As you can see, there's plenty of them on there. And they're just starting to turn. Over here we did have some wax beans there along the bottom of the trellis, like we've got the burgundy bush beans over here, but again, bush beans, they had pretty much given up for the year. Even the beans they were making didn't have beans in them, so we pulled them up yesterday. And I'm sure those tomato plants there will appreciate the airflow and not having so much competition. This is looking down this tunnel. We call this one the short tunnel because it's shorter than the other one. Got butternut squash there in the middle, more tomatoes, acorn squash on the end, along with the Alabama black-eyed butter beans on the right, and Cherokee Trail of Tears beans on the left. They're just starting to make pods, so we'll find out what they're all about soon. I'm excited about those. They look like black beans. You see the serrano peppers over there are starting to put lots of little peppers on. Where's the basket, darling? Oh, right here. Getting kind of full.
Yeah, I'm gonna go swap it out. Stay right here to where I know where to connect it.
Okay. There's a big butternut squash in there. Another pretty good sized one in there. This is a bush type. Supposed to only get 3 feet, and it's about that, 3 or 4 foot vines. Tomatoes here, and I don't remember what kind. And at one point, I got so busy, I didn't get tags on everything, so you don't see a tag here either. I want to say these are Dr. Witchies, which is an orange tomato that I've never grown before. I see some tomatoes on them there, so maybe we'll find out before long. We got acorn squash here. Believe it or not, those things are not ready yet. Yep, the rind's still kind of soft. I can dent it with my fingernail, so not ready. And this is kind of cool, looking up to the top of the trellis. Got one hanging in the very top there. I hope it holds on. I don't want it to fall on my head. And back down the other side. More acorn squash. And that's the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans in there. They have pretty little purple, pinkish purple blooms. See how pretty those are. The hummingbirds like these too. Just want a flock of egrets over geese or something. Pretty little blooms. Oh, I see a bean there. We got a couple of good sized beans there. They're supposed to be purple. I guess we'll have to wait and see if they turn purple. A couple more there. And these are more cherry type tomatoes. These are called Lemon Drop. They're yellow. I like all different colors of things. They're not ripe yet. Oh, I see where a hornworm has been on here. I like to catch them and feed them to the chickens. And the chickens like that too. I don't see him though. I guess he already turned into a moth and flew away. Or either my hornworm eyes aren't working this morning. There's a knack to seeing them, I've discovered. You have to be looking just right. We've got beans on the Cherokee Trail of Tears vines. Yeah, they're green. I assume they're going to turn purple because I think these are shelling beans. But come look.
Hold on. Put that down. Arnold. Yeah, go.
See, right there. There's a couple more right there. That's all I see is those four, but there's plenty of blooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to picking.
Slave driver.
Oh, look, here's some pretty good sized butter beans over here. There, he likes the big butter beans. We've never had these before, but I'm looking forward to trying them. Uh-oh, what's on there? And yes, y'all, that is one of my main methods of pest control. Find bugs, squish them. Pick them off, feed them to the chickens. Lots of little butterbean pods up through there. Oh, look, there's a butternut squash down in the hole of the cinder block. Something may eat it down there. Yeah, I actually put that one kind of like that, so...
You want me to get this one out?
Yeah, prop it on something. Even if it's just a block, so it doesn't encourage the slugs and stuff to eat it before we get to.
Come on. I just stood up too
It's amazing
fast
we
again.
find anything in there. These are still making beans pretty good, so I guess we'll leave them a little longer.
Yeah, all these are got tons of them coming up. Could leave that one, but should leave that one, but
Oh, look, the 4 o'clocks may bloom this afternoon.
No. Have you checked all this squash?
Yep,
Still ain't ready.
still not ready. Here's some more okra. We don't eat okra, but I grow it from my brother-in-law, Charlie. So far, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants or so is all that's producing because they're the only ones getting enough sun. But he's gotten to have fried okra by now, I'm sure. These are poblano chili peppers.
But Cherokee
We'll have
purples
1 or
are
2 of those before long. Here's some more Cherokee purples. These are probably our favorite tomato as far as like
probably.
tomato sandwiches. I don't know. For me, I like Marion's just as well, really, for different reasons. But something's been eating that one.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm gonna get the rest of these because there's stuff on them that will probably eat them if I leave them, and they will ripen inside just fine and away from the ants.
And slugs.
When they're higher up on the plant, I will leave them longer to ripen, but down here close to the ground, where it's easy for things to eat them, I pull them when it looks like things are starting to try to eat them. Might have to cut that one up that's been eating so much on the top and have fried green tomatoes. These beans are really pretty, and they're good too. We haven't gotten enough off of them to have one whole pot full, but between these, which this was just 1 packet of seed, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 12, or 16 feet of burgundy bush beans, because it's 4 cattle panels and they're about 4 feet wide, 50 inches. We haven't had a pot that was
Just burgundy.
all the purple, only purple beans, but we have eaten 2 or 3 pots full that were those, and the yellow wax beans and the green beans all together, and they were really good. Got some jalapenos growing there in front of the burgundy bush beans, and I see they're starting to put on some peppers. Ooh, I see a big bean that Larry missed. We might have missed that one a couple of times. There's a couple more down there. One there. It's the ones that are leaning way out here towards the edge. We tend to pick under the trellis because that's where most of the bush is. But this one's leaning out and the beans are out here. We'll have some jalapenos and serranos before long. Larry loves the hot peppers, so we grow a lot of them and do lots of different things with them. I make voodoo jalapenos, which is, some people call them cowboy candy. Same thing. Sweet, hot combo. Sometimes I pickle them like bread and butter pickles. Also a sweet, hot combo. This is my gardenia that I love, and it has been struggling in the ground, so I put it in a planter, and it's doing a little better.
I didn't see it out there.
I'll put some zinnias down around the bottom. That may or may not do anything. Ooh, I forgot to pick these up. Something ate part of that one. And part of that one. But that's okay. We got some onions over there. Okay. Now, I was filming the urn bed when I started and before I started talking, so we'll go look at it again. Got some calendula blooming right there. Calendula is one of those I grow for medicinal uses, good for skin stuff. Lots of basil right here because I love basil. It's trying to bloom, so I'm going to come through here in a little while and cut about the top 2/3 of the plant off. And take it in and make a tomato tart and dehydrate some of it and pack some of it in salt to keep. And hopefully it'll go a little longer before it starts blooming again. There's some lavender. I've never had much luck with overwintering lavender. This one's supposed to do better here. We'll see. It's a fern leaf lavender. You can see the dill I've harvested pretty heavily because we've been making pickles. There's our sugar baby watermelons there in the middle. Some marigolds out there on the other edge. The bee balm there. Some more lavender that's struggling as it usually does. Dill. I couldn't find a tarragon plant this year, and tarragon actually have trouble keeping it alive too. So this one here with the little yellow flowers is called Mexican tarragon, so I'm going to try it. I've dehydrated some of it. There's some parsley, thyme, more parsley, calendula. What'd you ask me?
You see that in the middle? Getting huge.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. Maybe we'll get to eat it before too much longer. Got the blueberries out here.
Got some muscadine getting pretty good size. They ain't turning yet.
We've picked the blueberries a couple of times. Got maybe a quart off of them altogether. These blueberry bushes aren't real big yet. The ones that have been here the longest have only been here 2 or 3 years. 3 years, I think. And it's not the greatest growing situation for them. Have extremely hard, heavy clay soil here. That's why the cattle panels are in raised beds. And this is out here next to the road where there's lots and lots of sun, which blueberries like, but since they have to compete with the grass for water, probably does make it a little difficult for them to thrive. But they're doing pretty good. I'm really surprised we have berries at all because these all had blooms all over them. Back when we had that 24-degree freeze. I covered them with pillowcases. I'm still amazed that they managed to make berries at all.
You won't eat those, Iggy.
No, but she has to check out everything that you do. The birds like these too, apparently.
Yep. It's on the way about 10. These birds are really good today. And ants.
Yep, my bird just picked that one.
Alright.
What you whining about, Iggy? Okay. Let's look at the muscadines.
See how the big muscadine. Oops, sorry, Iggy.
Yep. Got a few on there. This vine was planted last year. And this one over here we got this year. It was bigger when we got it than the other one. It's doing all right. So we might have maybe some muscadine jelly this year. Maybe.
I doubt it, but
Well, if you remember, I've got some in the freezer from last year, you know, where I've pulled a handful at a time when I find them. So maybe. The potatoes that are not doing very well.
Hopefully when we get further north, they'll do better.
Well, we need to plant them earlier too. We can try again like around the 1st or middle of August, because it usually only takes like 100 days, I think. So we could try to get a fall crop. All right, Iggy, if you make me fall, we're gonna fight. The blackberries. This one bush has done exceedingly well this year, considering it's only a year or two old.
Birds seem to like them.
Oh yeah. These are really sweet.
Or really seedy.
Well, yeah. That's just the way it goes with blackberries.
Yeah.
You can get seedless ones. They're not as sweet, but with blackberries, seeds are just part of the fun.
Big seeds.
Okay, peach trees. That one grew from the compost. If you know me, you know I love peaches, and I made many trips to Banks Peach Farm. And with all the peach pits that went in the compost pile, one of them turned into a tree. We bought that one. This is a majestic. Don't know what kind the other is. I've had to lay odds, I'd say Ruston Red, but who knows? Because that's not the only kind I bought. You see the comfrey there in front. I read about fruit tree guilds this year, so I was trying to create plantings around the fruit trees that would help them thrive. And comfrey is one of those things that does that. You see, if nothing else, it provides some shade and ground cover there. It practically mulches just by growing. That's a couple of persimmon trees. Larry found these like at the very end of the season, marked down to $5 at Ramey's. Got some others too. Most of them did not make it. Got a blackberry bush down there that came from that. But a couple of them did.
6 of those and 3 blackberry for $5.
There's some more comfrey. There's some mint, spearmint there on the corner. Yeah, we got a couple of pears up there. We just planted this tree this year. I think it had been pollinated when we got it. The other one, the one from year before, the blooms froze in that hard freeze. Here's my youngest batch of chickens. There's 17 of them in there. Welsummer's, Black Australorps, and Black Lace Silver Wyandottes. They are a little over a month old, like 5-6 weeks old. They were hatched May the 11th at the hatchery. So, you do the math. Still got to work on this chicken coop some. They just got too big to be inside, so we got it to where we could get them in there and finish while they're in there. Okay, these are supposed to be native plums, but they have yet to bloom or do anything, so I don't know if that's actually what they are. Lemon balm plant in the middle. More comfrey. One lone sunflower there that has survived so far.
I think we got a second one right there. But
yeah, there may be another one down there, but it's kind of bent over, so I'm not so sure if it's going to make it.
Yeah.
And I guess that
more there, but
that pretty much covers. Yeah, I had some more here, but Eli cut a couple of them down with the lawnmower. Somebody stepped on one of them. I don't know if he was mad or just not paying attention. There's Buddy. He has to get everywhere first. He never follows you. Shaggy did that too. He wanted to get there first. Got the fig trees back here. Some of that happens too, I think, when he tips it back to go over thick grass. This is a fig tree we planted 2 years ago, I believe. Brown turkey fig.
Yeah.
You see, there's some little figs on there. This is the first fig tree I had here. It's been about 6 years since I planted it. I dug up a stick, basically, under somebody else's gigantic fig tree. It was about as tall as I am, which is just a smidge over 5 feet. And I planted it there. It's been there 5 or 6 years now. It's a Celeste. It's also covered with figs. You can smell the figs from standing here. Lots of little bitty figs on there.
Like the big ones up top, babe.
Yeah, they do get bigger up top. I don't top my fig tree. The one I was picking when I dug this one up was huge. It was probably 12 or 14 feet tall. And while I was picking the bottom, I noticed that the birds and the bugs mostly stayed up in the top and left me alone. Now, the mosquitoes didn't. I got plenty of mosquito bites. But the wasp and things like that were mostly up in the top. And there was fruit down low while the stuff in the top was eaten. So I just let them go, and I picked the bottom and let the birds and the bugs have the top. And this is the first group of chickens. These are prairie bluebells. They were supposed to all be hens, but I got a rooster right there. That's Pharaoh, formerly known as Pharaoh. We had to change his name when he started getting that curved tail and those big old legs and that big comb. And I heard him try to crow one morning, and I thought, well, I guess he's a rooster after all. So he became Pharaoh. 6 of these, and they should be laying eggs in another month or 2. Blue eggs. And there's one more fig tree over here. It's supposed to make purple figs, and I can't remember the name of it. We just planted it last year, and I actually need to dig it up and transplant it because it is buried too deep. There was kind of a hole there, and it sunk down in it after we planted it, so got to redo it. And I think that's just about everything. Happy Father's Day.
What about the tree,
The mulberry?
Yeah.
I think all the mulberries are gone off of it. So, happy Father's Day, Larry. Y'all have a good one. Come back.